Tonight on Let's Talk Motorsport, it's the final leg of the International Challenge. Who will be the winner? We speak with the fastest Cuban to come to Australia, Jorge Guerrero, and catch up with his teammate and also Moto America race winner, Michael Gilbert. And tonight's special guest is a 3 times Australian Superbike champion, Glenn Allerton. Welcome to another night of motorsport. Hope you're enjoying it out there as much as we enjoy bringing it to you. And without further ado, let's get straight into the action and catch up with race 4 of the International Challenge at the 2019 International Island Classic. Will Steve Martin continue his merry ways, or will someone come from the clouds to take out win number 4?
As well as we're getting ready now for race number 4, the 4th and final outing for the International Challenge. It is very, very tight in the points, with Team Australia holding a very slender lead over the Team USA team, and then also Team New Zealand not too far behind in third. And Braxy, as we've seen in other years gone by, it is not over until the final flag comes out for race 4. Anything can and will change. This is Motorsport. This is the International Island Classic.
And this is classic racing here at Phillip Island, proudly brought to you by Visit Phillip Islands. We go through the grid with Aaron Morris, Josh Hayes and Steve Martin, Sean Giles, Paul Byrne and Larry Pegram, the front 2 rows.
Jed Metzer, who's been fast all weekend out of row 3, along with Craig Ditchburn, who's also been fast on the TZ, Dean Orchard, Michael Gilbert, Al Phillips in there as well. Hopefully he's not starting from pit lane in this one.
Mark Miller again, another one of the Americans in 14, Barrett Long again in 16, Quarterly in 17. So good smattering of Americans at the top half of the field.
Yeah, Duncan Coots, Team New Zealand captain and comedian, has been doing a great job this weekend as well. Roger Gunn back there in position number 25 with Matt Ineson, Joe Pethwood, Campbell Stevenson towards the back of the grid as we get ready. Race number 4 about to get under the way. On board now with the 3-time BSB champion John Reynolds.
Here's the final race for 2019. The revs are building, the heart's starting to pump a bit harder as they get ready for this start. Who's going to get it? It's Josh Hayes. A little bit of a jump from there, Phil, but I think that's not going to come under the scrutiny of the officials. But Josh Hayes willing to make up for the disappointment of that, last race where he finished 14th.
Down through turn 1, it is Josh Hayes that's got a cracking start. Steve Martin's also got off the line well on board bike number 99. He's all pumped up from his victory in the last race as they make their way round through turn 2. Michael Gilbert on board bike number 55 has also got away well and is there looking to try and charge his way forward.
Josh Hayes showing the talent that took him to 4 AMA championships. Already starting to get out a bit of a lead from Steve Martin. But look at the marauding pack as they go through Stoner Corner for the first time. Metcher sideways. Is he up the inside of Steve Martin, pushing Alex Phillips wide?
Yeah, they were 3 abreast coming into turn 4 on that occasion. And I think the one that missed out a little bit was Aaron Morris right behind as we jump on board the VP Racing Fuels Katana down through the big left-hander, the heavily banked corner at Siberia, right on the ducktail of Al Phillips' Arnold's Fruit Market machine as we make our way up the hill. Oh, that didn't sound real good.
No, not at all, but a bit of a squiggle on the back wheel from Aaron Morris. But look at Josh Hayes. We're only halfway through the first lap, Phil, and he's got a lead of about 6 or 7 bike lengths over Steve Martin, leading the way for the Australians. But this just shows the quality of this American field that's coming out, and no doubt next year it's just going to lift to another level because there'll be more guys wanting to come down and put their name alongside the American team.
Well, we had an opportunity to talk to Josh Hayes in between races 3 and 4, Braxy. He was very disappointed with that DNF. An electrical problem caused his DNF in race number 3. He was all pumped up. He gave us the thumbs up from the commentary box when he was down there on the grid, and I think this is a fair indication that he is ready to go in race number 4.
Well, the casualty of that was Steve Ratt because they took his bike off him to get all the bits to put on Josh Hayes' machine. But Steve Ratt, being the team man he is, gave it up and has gone up the roof with the masses of other people up there to get a great look as we look at the Suzuki replay coming into turn number 4.
You can see how hard these riders are pushing. Jed Metcher, Steve Martin and also Al Phillips, they're 3 abreast on the Suzuki replay down in towards turn 4.
You saw Al Phillips getting pushed wide there too on that replay.
Morris was actually lucky that he was just far enough behind to avoid the melee as they go in single file this time into turn 4, making it a little bit easier as they come hard out of the corner. It is Al Phillips that leads this 3-bike trio, trying to reel in the 4 times AMA champion Josh Hayes on board the Mojo Yamaha out of Siberia and up towards the top of the hill. Difference in acceleration between the bikes is negligible, but this is where Jed Metzer seems to carry a lot of corner speed down through the Hayshed corner and then sets him up for a great drive across the top of Lukey Heights.
So Phyllis there in second position, but it might be one thing to catch up to Josh Hayes, but try and get around him now that he's in the lead for the first time. And on the process, could be on the way to making history for the first American to win a leg of the International Challenge here at Phillip Island.
Well, as we've mentioned plenty of times this weekend, Braxy, he is the rider in this field that gave up racing most recently. There are some riders out there like Al Phillips that are still racing, but Steve Martin, as he said, he rides competitively once a year at this very meeting. Great to see Larry Pegram doing a good job out there as well. Dean Orchard's also leading his Carl Cox teammate John Reynolds, the 3 times BSB champion, out onto the straight. But look at the speed differential there. The fully faired machine of John Reynolds versus the Katana, which has no aerodynamic efficiency whatsoever.
And you can't get a better sight in racing than that, no matter how fast you're going down Gardner Straight. And look at Bass Strait on such a magnificent day here at this Australia Day weekend for the International Island Classic. But look at these guys. Alex Phillips representing New Zealand on bike number 20. And then it's Jed Metzer leading the way for the Aussies. But up the front we've got Josh Hayes on bike number 4, leading a very merry dance, a determined guy, just showing you how good the talent is in this American field.
Good points for Team Australia with Jed Metzer in 3rd, Steve Martin in 4th, and the points for the Ken Wooden Trophy is going to be very, very close. Final stages now of International Challenge race number 4 here at the 26th Annual International Island Classic. Josh Hayes is in a very safe lead at the moment, but the positions for 2nd, 3rd, 4th place is extremely close and will go right to the flag. And also the extremely important points for the Ken Wooden Memorial Trophy are up for grabs. Josh Hayes has got a very handy lead, but this battle, Braxy, there is nothing between these 3 riders.
Not at all. It's just going to take a missed gear or just a bit of missed timing for one of them to go forward or backwards. And Josh Hayes, with the position he's in at the moment, with his 3rd and 4th positions in the first 2 opening legs, is going to really rue that 3rd leg disappointment as the battle intensifies for the Ken Wooden Perpetual Trophy for the overall leading point scorer. Is it going to be an Aussie or is it going to be an American?
Well, the other interesting thing is that no Aaron Morris in this lead battle. He is battling at the moment with gearbox gremlins on board the Suzuki Katana. He has only got 3 gears to use, 1st, 2nd and 3rd, so his speed down the start-finish straight is somewhat compromised. The fact that he is lapping in the 38s is a testament to how well Aaron Morris is riding this Katana, and the fact that he's still well inside the top 10 and still in contention for the Ken Wooden Trophy belies belief.
As we go back to our leader, Josh Hayes, going through the hay shed there. The Hayes through the hay shed. That's not a bad one. As Alex Phillips on bike number 20 in 2nd position. Jed Metzer trying to outside line. Is he going to do a dive bomb going into MG corner? He's having a good look, but look at that. Steve Martin was also having a look at him too, Phil. And Metzer has a look around the outside to see where they are as they come out of turn 10 through the copse of turn 11. This all-important drive to get the drag through turn 12 and onto the straight.
Well, Jed Metzer hangs that far off the bike. He can probably see around 2 motorcycles in front of him as they come onto the start-finish straight. And just having a look at the points of the Ken Wooden Trophy, Aaron Morris still holds a very slender lead over Steve Martin if they stay in their current positions. Points can differ by 1 or 2 every time there's an overtaking manoeuvre. It is not going to be over until the checkered flag comes out. Steve Martin at the moment sitting in 4th place. If he gets ahead of these 2, he could go ahead of Aaron Morris.
Well, it's 40 points for the win, 39 and so on, all the way down to 1. Oh, Alex Phillips has done something right there. I'll tell you, the front wheels just had a bit of a chatter and he stood it up a bit, but he hasn't lost that much drive. But saying that, Jed Metzer's been able to get about a 4 or 5 bike length lead, and look at Steve Martin. He's got that look of determination. He wants to move up the inside. He's not going to be happy sitting in 4th position.
And his teammate Sean Giles back there in 5th position. This would also be the best points for Team New Zealand in an international challenge race for quite some time as well, with Al Phillips up there in 3rd place on the road on board the Arnold's Fruit Market Suzuki Formula 1 Harris machine.
And don't take anything away from the best result for the Americans so far, with Josh Hayes out there by about 3 seconds at the moment over Jed Metcher in second. Mate, this is just an appetizer for 2020, I'll tell you.
Well, the scary thing is, Braxy, he's already indicated that he is ultra keen to come back for 2020, as are all of the Americans. They love Phillip Island, and Steve Martin loves turn 10. What an overtaking manoeuvre there for bike number 99.
What a squeeze there, and I'm just thinking that there's something wrong with Alex Phillips' motorcycle. He's going backwards at a greater rate of knots with these two marauding the Suzuki Martin and Jed Metcher there in second position. As they come down and this should be getting close to the last lap, but there's nothing taking away from Josh Hayes, the American, the 4 times AMA Superbike champion, leading him away. At the moment, he's got a lead of just on 4 seconds as we look at the Suzuki replay of that move by Steve Martin so late in the weekend and still having the tenacity to pull one off.
Well, I wonder if he's actually doing the sums and he knows what the situation is with the Ken Wooten points, because that was a big move. Aaron Morris has just lost another position on track, and Steve Martin has moved up one. The points has just changed around by 2. If Martin can get past Metcher, it could be Steve Martin walking away with the Ken Wooten trophy for the highest individual point scorer in the International Challenge races.
But look at this, Steve Martin. But Alex Phillips hasn't given up by any shot at the moment. He is right on the ducktails of these guys in the battle for second, third and fourth, but take nothing away from the man up front. Josh Hayes, he got away from the start and he just left them standing.
Well, he said at the beginning of the weekend, Braxy, that his eyes were closed through turn 1 and several other areas around the circuit. I reckon they're wide open at the moment. He would be loving this as he puts a lap on one of the unfortunate back markers and comes up towards the top of Lukey Heights for the final time. This 3-bike battle now sees Steve Martin in the lead. That could be enough, Braxy, if he can hold that to the line, but he's in the position where he's going to offer a slipstream to both Jed Metcher and Al Phillips. Martin is safely through turn 10, and could he be on his way to the Ken Wooten trophy for the first time?
He could well be with that late braking manoeuvre. He nearly went grass cutting. It was that tight a line as they come on to turn 11 through turn 12 for the final time of 2019. Josh Hayes has already got the checkered flag, but who's going to get second as Hayes comes down Gardner Straight? It's Steve Martin from Jed Metcher, Alex Phillips, but it's Steve Martin that's going to take second and maybe the Ken Wooten Perpetual Trophy.
Yeah, I think Al Phillips may have just snuck up into third place to take good points for Team New Zealand, but nothing can deny the man on screen, Josh Hayes, from the first American to win an International Challenge race and top points, all 40 of them for Team USA.
And he'd be ruining that race 3, well, the non-event when he finished 14th. But he's a very happy man. As you said, Phil, he's coming back next year. Pridmore will recover from injury and he'll come back next year. It'll even be a stronger USA team. It'll be a stronger Australian team, a stronger New Zealand team. Can't wait for 2020.
Well, congratulations to the Mojo Yamaha crew from Team USA taking the final race victory. They've been especially fast all weekend and they've had the specially freighted out Dunlop tyres all the way from the USA, the team's favourite choice of rubber here this weekend. Steve Martin will take the overall on board bike number 99 and he'll be pretty happy with that as well. The final race, it's all Joshua Hayes on board bike number 4 from Steve Martin and Al Phillips, Jed Metcher in 4th, Sean Giles in 5th, and Larry Pegram, another great ride to round out the top 6. Michael Gilbert got better all weekend, and watch out for him in 2020. John Reynolds in 8th, Aaron Morris in 9th, and Mark Miller, another top 10 performance from the fastest ever American around the Isle of Man TT circuit. Steve Martin took the overall winners in the Ken Wooten Trophy from Aaron Morris and Josh Hayes in 3rd. It's scary what he is capable of doing. Look out in 2020. Sean Giles in 4th, Larry Pegram in 5th, and Michael Gilbert, a top result from him in 6th position. Australia took out the International Team Challenge on 676 points ahead of Team USA on 634 and Team New Zealand 3rd with 460 points. Congratulations to Team Australia taking the trophy for the International Challenge for the 2nd year in a row, and there was a large crowd on hand to congratulate all members of the team as they took to the podium to get their trophies.
Wasn't that a surprise? Josh Hayes out of the clouds completely walked away with that race and went very close to taking out the individual highest point scorer for the Ken Wooten Perpetual Trophy Award. Only if he'd done a little bit better in race number 3, except for those mechanical glitches, he might have been the first American to win the Ken Wooten Award. But it inspired him to come back next year, which was 2020, and also that came back this year was the world's fastest Cuban in his 2nd visit to Australia, Jorge Guerrero. We caught up with him while he was down here as well.
Well, as we go up and down pit lane, getting a few of the personalities that make up this International Ireland Classic, I've stumbled into another one, Jorge Guerrero. He was here last year, and he's the fastest Cuban ever around the Phillip Island racetrack. Welcome back, Jorge. Or George, can I call you George now?
George, fine.
How you been, mate?
Yes, sir. I'm glad to be back. Extremely happy, actually, to be back. Good to see you again. We saw the footage from last year. I appreciate all the great comments you gave me. All the buddies back home, they all enjoyed it as well.
Well, that's a part of it, isn't it? We're here, we're all enthusiasts, we're passionate motorcyclists. You get a chance to come and have a bit of a dip on the best racetrack in the world. When you went back home, what were you thinking on the plane and all the rest of it going, did that really happen?
Oh, man, it was unbelievable. Like I told you last year, everybody that, obviously, thanks to Paul for bringing me out here, he's like, man, the track is great, the racing is great, but the people are amazing. And I truly, truly believed it. I went back home and I'm thinking, man, I loved it. I can't wait to get back again. And not just for the racing itself, but just to see you and everybody else that I met out here. It's just unbelievably nice. Yep. It's so great.
So how's it been going? So yesterday, I suppose you can't really say much because it was wet, dry, and everything in between, and plus that wind.
It was, and also, we had a little bit downtime, with the bike itself, so we didn't really get to enjoy the track yesterday between the rain, the wind, and everything that went on. But I think we got it all handled. I think today is going to be a great day to ride.
So what are you riding this year?
It's pretty much the same thing from last year. It's obviously the CMR chassis, which is great. It feels amazing. The engine built by Scotty Owen. Obviously, the owner of the bike is Paul Schaefer. And everybody, the whole team is here with us, from same team from last year. Yep.
So what have you been up to in the last 12 months?
Trying to ride, working hard, and feeding the family.
In no particular order.
It doesn't matter. We still got to get it done.
I was going to ask you about the bumps, but I know what you said to me about the bumps here last year.
Oh, God. I mean, it's so funny when people tell me, oh, you got to be careful with the bumps. And when I first rode it, to me, it feels like really small ripples, right? And I'm like, you don't know what bumps are. Come to Texas, then we'll tell you some bumps.
Speaking of Texas, do you ever get out to the boot camp, and have you ever been out there to Colin Edwards' ranch?
I have not. I haven't had the chance yet. I have a ton of friends that have gone, and they all enjoy it. They say that it's a really, really great facility, and the people out there are extremely great. A lot of help, a lot of input in riding, and a lot of great names go there just to have a great time as well. Yeah.
So what's the aim for this year when you leave Phillip Island and go back home?
The same.
Much racing?
Yes. I would like to obviously continue with the CMRA, which is a really good club to race with. I would like to do a couple of Motor America rounds. Let's see how that plays out. But as of right now, I'm still trying to finish my actual bike and get the CMRA season going.
All right, mate. Good to see you, Jorge.
Awesome. Brad, good to see you as always.
You too, mate, and hopefully see you here many years to come.
I sure do hope so.
The fastest Cuban around the Phillip Island. Keep an eye out for him.
Great to see Jorge, a real character of the US team. Maybe not up with the front of the field, but he's out there having a lot of fun, as is his mate Mike Gilbert. Let's catch up with him as well.
Well, Mike Gilbert, welcome back for a second run at the International Ireland Classic.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so pumped to be here. This was truly an amazing event last year, and the fact that Dave Crussell invited me back to be part of Team USA, man, I just can't wait to get on track tomorrow.
Well, you did some pretty good times last year and some pretty good results.
Yeah, we finished. I think we were 4th overall in the Riders Challenge, and we put in a couple top 5 finishes, and we kind of just plugged away at the weekend. The Thursday last year was my first time on the bike and second time at Phillip Island, so we had a little bit of a learning curve. But we just kept plugging away, like I said, and by the end of the weekend, we were right there with those boys. So hopefully, with a little bit of testing here over the winter and just some experience back on the bike, we can start where we left off last year.
Well, I think you'll have a bit of a competition with your teammate Josh Hayes. I think he's not going to be happy unless he walks away with all the overall.
Oh, yeah. I mean, let's say the crap talking has already started with Josh Hayes. Maybe not for myself, but he wants to stick it to the young guys and prove that he's still fast, and he is. He's a great rider and definitely a huge asset to the team. But it's an honor to be competing with him and against him. And
so, how much racing do you do at home?
I race the Moto America National Championship, so we're in the Superstock 1000 class. We finished 3rd this year. overall in the points. We had a little bit of a doldrum in the middle of the year with some injuries and some illness, but I think finishing on the box at the end of the year and going now into 2020 Moto America, we're looking to put it right up on top.
Now, overall, what is Moto America like now? Because we know there was a lot of the dip in AMA and all the rest of it. Rainey and Chuck's come along. How's it going after the last couple of years?
Yeah, no, I think this is coming up on the 5th year of Moto America with Wayne Rainey and Chuck Asklin and those guys, Richard Varner and all of them running the series. And it's been a steady progress of improvement. You know, I think that obviously there's going to be hurdles and we can't rebuild this series overnight, but everyone is working together and trying to plug away and just raise the level of the series and the support over in the USA. And I think that we're starting to see a real progression, and hopefully 2020 will continue on that and get back to where we were in the past.
Without the illness and the injury, you should be knocking on the door of the number 1 slot.
That's exactly right. We hope to be. You know, we last year was the first year of me racing at 1,000 full time. So now we have some experience and some notes on the motorcycle, and like I said, I'm starting to feel healthy again, and we'll go into the year and we'll come out swinging.
Now, you've probably gotten a job that all of us would want, besides coming out here and having a steer and getting rid of the American winter, but you have got a pretty good day job.
That's right. I'm a road test editor over at Cycle World Magazine in the USA. Shout out Mark Warrior, my boss, letting me come over here and go racing. No, we get to test motorcycles and ride all the latest, greatest stuff. And actually on Sunday night, directly following the International Challenge, I go to the airport in Melbourne. I fly to Doha, Qatar to ride the new Honda CBR 1000RR RSP. Like I say, very, very fortunate, but I think by the time I get back to the U.S., I'm going to be pretty tired, pretty jet-lagged.
And pretty pumped, though. Have you been to Qatar before? Have you ridden around that track?
I have not ridden Qatar. It's definitely a bucket list. You know, we're lucky to see a lot of places, and that's on my list, too. A couple more I got to check off.
Well, it's as flat as a shit carter's hat, but it's got a lot of... You know, it's a very technical circuit.
Yeah, that's why I've heard. I was talking to Alex Phillips a little bit ago. Him and I are buddies from when he was racing in the States, and he was giving me some tips. And, you know, I don't think we're going to give each other tips at Phillip Island, but he was giving me a couple for Qatar. So really looking forward to it.
Well, you'd be dealing with another Aussie over there, being a working journalist. One of our Aussies over there, Rennie Skatesbrook, with a similar name but a different website.
Yeah, no, Rennie Skatesbrook, he lives right down the street from me. We go to lunch all the time, and we have a good time. Rennie won't be at Qatar, unfortunately. I'm actually the only American heading over there for the journalists. He's over in Abu Dhabi or Bahrain right now, riding the Ducati Panigale, but, you know, that's not bad either, is it?
Not bad at all. So this weekend, what will you be happy with?
We're here to win races, right? So we came here and being motivated this year, I really want to be at the front of the races. Whether we get a win or not, that's up for question. But being consistent and working as a team with Josh, with Larry, with Jordan, and Taylor Knapp, we all need to put in consistent results. And I think that if we're all consistently finishing in the top 5, that's what's going to do it. And ultimately, the goal is to win the International Challenge as a team.
Well, from the commentary box, I'll be looking for this little yellow submarine to see where you end up on it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me back.
No worries, mate. All the best.
Thank you so much.
Well, Mike Gilbert's pretty much a character, isn't he? A pretty fast journalist at the best of times, and I'm sure he'll be coming back again next year for the 2021 Ireland Classic. Now, one that's been around for a while and will continue to be around for a while is the 3-time Aussie Superbike champion, Glenn Allerton. Sit back and enjoy what he has to say about his racing career. Glenn Allerton, thanks for joining us. Wish we had a lot more to talk about because we should have had 2 rounds already gone by now, but here we are sitting in lounge rooms and offices twiddling our thumbs. How you been, mate?
Yeah, good. As you can see in the background, I've got a bit of a gym set up, which is probably what everybody's getting used to at the moment, being stuck inside. But yeah, I wish we had a race at Wakefield Park. It's a bit of a shame that we haven't been able to, keep the championship running. I know that Motorcycle Australia tried their best, but, that's just the situation that we're in at the moment.
Yeah, it is. We've got to run with what the rest of the world's going. But let's go back. Well, this year you were starting off, you were a bit behind the 8 ball, I suppose, because you had the brand new S1000RR on that machine, the Maxima Oils BMW. But
Yeah.
you were starting to get a bit of momentum there the first round at Phillip Island a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, look, qualifying went really good for us, and we were up there in the top three at the start of qualifying, and then unfortunately we didn't manage to get the second tyre in the bike, which was a shame because I really feel like we could have been on the front row. We only had to improve by a tenth or so, and then during the racing, always the racing's different there. Some of the weaknesses that we still have with the setup of the bike started to come through with rear tyre grip, but throughout the weekend we sort of got on top of that and trying to just get more rear contact in the bike so that you can accelerate out of the corners. And then we made some more improvements to the bike from Phillip Island to Wakefield Park, and we were even more competitive. So I'm really excited about what the future holds with this new bike. The new bike's really good. BMW have been trying to help us get the package working. The main thing that's different is in the back of the bike. It's the shock absorber is different and the linkage ratio is different, and just trying to understand that and getting it to work so that we can get the grip into the ground that's the key to it. And once we get that happening, it'll be game on.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that, the main differences of what last year's to this year's bike. So has it changed the setup completely of what you're trying to find? And when you got Shane Kinderis in your corner and the rest of the lads, they know what they're doing, but it's like putting a new recipe together, I suppose.
Yeah, look, this new bike's got a totally different rear linkage and a different setup as far as how the shock absorber, how much stroke it's got, and that changes how much velocity is inside with how fast the oil moves through the valves, and it also changes the spring rate that we run. We run a lot softer spring rate than what you used to on the old bike, so it's been a little bit of a teething phase that we're going through, just trying to get the feeling that I'm chasing, because at Phillip Island, I kind of decided that the feeling that I was chasing, I wasn't going to achieve it with the way that we had the bike. So I had to just learn to ride the bike the way it was, and the feeling, I had to get used to it. Just had this sinking feeling in the rear. But we've managed to change a few things, and Dave from Cruise Tune's been really helpful. He's helped us out a lot running the shocks on the dyno and just fine-tuning it, trying to get that last little bit of grip, especially over on the edge of the tyre. And, Wakefield, which I thought was going to be even, worse for us, Wakefield. The bike seemed to be a lot better, and especially over the bumps. And, yourself at Wakefield, qualifying is so important. And for me, it was important to be able to do a really good lap time. Yet it's good to have good race pace, but that lap time in qualifying is so important to get yourself up on that front row, because when that race starts and everyone's doing about the same lap time, it's so hard to make a pass at Wakefield.
So where did you end up on the sheets? I know there was no timing there at that pre-season or the pre-meeting test that unfortunately we didn't go there a while ago, but how close were you?
I'm pretty sure I ended up fifth.
Sorry, mate?
I'm pretty sure I ended up fifth.
Okay, that's not bad. Well, yeah. And
But,
like you said, at Wakefield Park, it's such a tight, twisty track, you need to get in there and to get that start.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the gap from my time to the leaders wasn't that big. It was like half a second. And I know generally whenever I test, I can go, 3 or 4 tenths faster in qualifying or in the race. So, and I really like Wakefield and the way that our bike works. I feel like I can really put a lot of pressure on the front end of the bike and carry a lot of lean angle. And that's something that the older bike wasn't quite as good as this new bike. So, the improvement on this new bike is it's pretty exciting, and the potential of the bike, especially once we get the mechanical side of it working, to be able to use some of the electronics that we have available to us. I really feel like we're going to have the best package in the paddock once we get it all dialed in.
Well, hopefully we get to Wakefield Park. Hopefully we get somewhere soon, GA. But let's go back a bit. You're probably coming into this season the fittest you've been in a couple of years, because there's no denying you've had some, wretched time in the last few years. Wakefield Park, I remember where you broke your arm. You had the motocross accident. Then you had the Phillip Island accident where you did an impersonation of a space shuttle at turn 4. How were you shaping yourself coming into this year?
Yeah, look, the past few years have been pretty difficult to get over. 2017, I broke my arm really badly in a couple of places. I got this big, as you can see, this big scar on my arm, and that was a fair bit to get over. And then it seemed like I went on a run of about three 3 years of broken bones. All up, I think I've broke 14 bones in 3 years. As you said, the motocross accident, I broke my neck. It actually wasn't really my fault. I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And another bike hit me and took my front wheel out and down I went. And then the accident that I had at the Bend last year where Alex Phillips fell off in front of me and I went over the top of his bike and that one was pretty bad. I actually fractured at first they said I didn't fracture my leg, but I had a fracture in my fibula on my left leg, and because it was so bloody hard to walk for like 2 weeks, I went back and saw a doctor here in Sydney and had another x-ray, and they said, you've got a break in your left fibula, which they didn't pick up at the hospital, but I also broke my wrist, and the wrist was a lot to get over. But I said to the guys at Phillip Island, this is the first time I've been to a race where I'm not sore anywhere. Like, I'm fully focused on riding the bike. And for 2 years I was carrying an injury, and looking back, I probably should have just took some time off. I probably needed 6 months to get my body right. And, I was feeling really good at Phillip Island. And, yourself, it's a fine line between winning and finishing sixth in our championship right now. And that's where we've been because I maybe was a little bit slower than some of the guys at the start of the race. And I really feel like when I was injured, that's where I really had the issues, was the first 2 laps of the race. I would always be in this phase of, okay, let's just get through the first part of this race and see how we go. And it was like clockwork every race we did. I'd start slow and finish strong, but by the time I got going, the leaders were already gone. So this year it's been a lot better because I'm not carrying an injury. There's no pain anywhere, and my starts were good at the first round. And I just really wanted to keep this momentum going. And that's why it's such a shame that this virus hit as bad as it did, and we're all sitting at home not racing. And it's pretty worrying for a lot of people. I'm worried for what the other side of it might hold, whether we have a championship or not, whether people can recover from this financially. A lot of people do this off their own dollar, and they're going to be putting those dollars into just surviving for the next 6 months. So, hopefully we can come out the other side of this and still have some good racing.
So how many seasons would this be rolling up to, Because, you've been around a long while. I've known you for a long time, particularly, I think, really got to know you after a certain incident in Oran Park in the 250 Toddies back in, what was that, 98 or 99 or something?
That was 01.
01. Oh, well, not that.
That was my first year of racing, actually.
So that's 19 years ago.
Yeah. So that was my first year. I actually started, I've raced pretty much since I was a little fella. And I raced dirt bikes, and I got quite good at it over the years. And eventually, I got to the point where I was battling for Australian championships and state champion and winning a lot of races. And Supercross was my goal. I wanted to go to America and race Supercross, and I actually grew up racing against the likes of Chad Reed and Aaron Gilbert was a strong rider. Robbie Madison was in my group, and we were all racing motocross together. And when I turned senior, I had some support from Honda, and I was racing Supercross and doing really well. And I broke my leg really badly in Adelaide. And when that happened, I had compartment syndrome, so I was bleeding internally in my leg. And I was actually very lucky to keep my leg. And the doctors, they give you worst case scenario. You're going to lose your leg. You're never going to ride a motorbike again. And I was devastated. And I can remember Dad coming into the hospital. Mum and Dad flew to Adelaide to see me, and Dad was really upbeat and said, we'll just sell your bikes and we'll give road racing a go. You've always been so good at, back then, and we used to compete in these things called Thumpernuts, so grass track events. And I always did really well at them because of the higher speed that you carry and less jumps. So we gave road racing a go in that. And in that first year, I finished second in the Australian 250 production championship. And that picture of me getting run over that you referred to was right at the end of the championship.
Yep.
And had I not fallen off in that race, I probably would have won the championship. So, it was a really nice transition. And it's something that at the time, it's a bit of a life lesson. I can remember being in the hospital bed thinking my life's over because I can't race Supercross anymore. And then, one door closes, another one opens, and I went road racing, and I would never change that. If I had never broken my leg, I probably would have persisted with motocross and Supercross. And I probably never would have gave road racing a go. So actually that broken leg and that whole ordeal with compartment syndrome was a blessing in disguise.
I know you've always been determined to get back on a bike. You told me that in Winton in no uncertain terms last year. But with your family, you've got a young family. Was your wife, did she get the shepherd's hook out and say, hey, is it about time, you know, you've had a good run at the Aussie Championships for a number of years. You've got 3 championships under your belt. I know you're going for number 4, but was there any outside, your mum and dad going, hey, isn't it about time you just sat back and get back into your business, which we'll get onto in a minute anyway?
Yeah, no, look, it's I've always had support for whatever I want to do behind me, and nobody's actually come to me and said, you know, I think you should give it up. I've had people, you know, you get people on Facebook saying, oh, you should move aside and give the ride to some young guy. But when you go out there and you beat those young guys, why should I give my ride up? You know, I'm out there. It's their job to take my ride away from me, not me to give my ride to them. You know what I'm saying? So I still have this fire inside me that I want to race, and I still feel like even last year wasn't that successful, but at some point during the year I battled with everyone on the grid, and you know in yourself whether you can still do it or not, and I always knew that, you know, I had these little injuries holding me back. If I could have started stronger, if we just qualified better, our race pace was better. All the evidence is there when you look at the lap sheets and you break down the sectors, and we can see that we're really strong, but we just didn't put it together. And me, myself, I just wanted, while I'm fit and healthy, I just want to do this because I love it. You know, the sport has changed, as you know. There's not as much money in it as what there used to be, and it's not about the money for me anymore. It's about my own personal goals that I set for myself, and I just feel like I'm actually getting better at it. I just wish I was as disciplined and as good at training and as smart as what I am now when I was younger, because as you go along, you get better and better and better. And the last thing I want to do at the moment is give it up, because I just love it. There's nothing like, you know, hooking up a lap around Phillip Island. There's not many things on the planet that are as good as that. And just the feeling that the bike gives you, and it's something that's been inside me since I was a kid, and I think I'll know when it's time to give up, but just not quite yet.
We'll let you go because I know you've got the young family there and you probably want to go for a push bike ride and instead of twiddling your thumbs and everything. But GA, thanks for joining us. I'm sure you'll be on Let's Talk Motorsport again, and hopefully the next time we interview you and have a bit of a chat is that we're reviewing a race meeting instead of thinking about race meetings.
Fingers crossed we are talking about going racing, yeah.
No worries, Glenn. Allerton, thanks for joining us, the 3 times Aussie champion. See you again soon at a racetrack.
Thanks, Braxy. See you, mate.
Show us what you got.
Roland Skate. At 15 I bought my first dirt bike, doing some paper rounds and stuff. I bought a Hodaka Wombat 125, and that got my love affair with bikes happening. From there went on to quite a few dirt bikes and dirt bike racing of different disciplines, and then by the time I was 18 I bought myself a Suzuki GS1000. They were the 2 wheels bike of the year. And I thought, well, at the time the CBX was out as well, but the CBX was a lot dearer, a lot more complex, and I thought, well, basic GS1000 will do me. It was a good bike, but a nothing bike, universal Japanese motorcycle. Anyway, I had it for a couple of years and then decided to sell it. Ended up being up in Mackay for a while, up in North Queensland, and I found this CBX up there. It was only 3 years old at the time, but it was pretty rough. But anyway, it was cheap. I bought it and rode it round pretty hard, used it for all sorts of things, took it dirt bike riding and what have you. It was just like basically a rat bike. But I ended up falling in love with it because it just kept going and doing everything I wanted. So I thought, geez, this is good fun. And then I thought, well, if ever there becomes a class for racing one of these, because at that point there was only up to period 4. So come 1993, period 5 evolved. So I thought, beauty, I'm going to build myself a CBX to go racing on. So I bought a roughie, which was just on a pallet, basically it was all in parts. And I thought, well, I'm going to learn on this one, and built myself a race bike in '94. I joined the Hartwell Club and started racing. Now I've turned my passion into a business, and I restore and modify CBXs from all around Australia. The one on my left here is a 1978 silver CBX Z model. This one is owned by my wife Karen. So this is basically what we started with, similar to this, to build the beast, a twin shock 1978 model. Over on my right is the 1981 B model CBX ProLink. These were the first of Honda's single shock ProLink suspension before they even actually put them on the motocross bikes. So they were pretty high tech, but it was a fairly heavy tourer. These were also about near 50 kilos heavier than the twin shock Z model. But this one here is what we turned into the Beast S, the twin shock into the Beast. This is the 1981 version. The Beast was a 1978 version, which was the twin shock. These were the first of the ProLink suspension, the single shock that came into basically all Honda bikes since the early 80s. So this one's got a Wilbur's rear shock. It's got the Pipe Masters 6x6 pipes, 6-cylinder air-cooled engine, 24 valve, double overhead cam, pretty high tech for back in the day. It's been taken out to 1230 cc, ported head, good Carrillo conrods, CR special carbies 31mm. The brakes were made by mate Steve McKernan, Ford McKernan Engineering, floating cast iron rotors, Brembo calipers off a mate's Benelli 750 6-cylinder, and the oil cooler is off a GSXR 750, first 85 oil cooled one. The forks are 39mm from the same 1981 CBX. Swing arm, same 1981 CBX. The front wheels VTR 1000, 3.5 inch. The rear wheel is a ZZR 600, 4.5 inch, 7/8 inch rims. The frame has been basically de-raked down to 24 degrees from the 27.5 from stock, and lifted up in the frame 35mm. So it makes it a bugger to work on because you can drop the engine out, but it just makes a nice tight package and excellent ground clearance. As good to ground clearance as anything else that's racing at the time, or at the moment even. Come 2017, which was our last hurrah, we had Levi Day having a ride. So he rode it at the Island Classic for the Irish team, 2017. So at that point then we were going to call it quits, so both bikes have been parked since then, but you never know, we might get them out again. They were very competitive bikes, but now that the Formula One bikes are sort of taken over in the period 5 class, it's pretty hard to compete. We've got around about 135 horsepower, 1230 cc and 230 kilos of weight. It's hard when you're trying to compete with bikes that are 170 plus horsepower and 170 kilos. So, but we went out there and had a crack. One of the top period 5 guys said to us when we first went out in 2008 that, you know, CBX will never make a race bike, but we were determined to prove him wrong, and a year or so after that he come and basically apologised and said, look, you've done a great job, and you know, I never thought you'd make a race bike out of it, but congratulations. So the reason we called ourselves the Mel Bristow Powerhouse CBX racing team was because it was Mel was our mate that passed away. He had a freight forwarding company called Powerhouse in Western Australia, and Mel and I had planned on building a race bike for him to have over in Western Australia. So when it never happened, his wife Val asked me if I'd like to have his couple of old Dunga bikes for donors to build a bike in his honour, and basically that's what we've got here.
Make sure to visit letstalkmotorsport.com.au where you can upload your race bike or car or kart and show us what you've got. It's easy, and we want to share your passion with others right here on the show. While you're there, you can visit our YouTube channel with loads of videos to catch up on, and follow us on Facebook. letstalkmotorsport.com.au, one destination with the lot. So keep those videos coming in and show us what you got, whether it's your car, your bike or your go-kart. We want to help you spread the word about your passion. So that's it for another week of Let's Talk Motorsport. See you again very soon.